There, that's the pump I just put in, and that's the mount, and I can't get the belt in between that pulley right there. So I gotta take all those screws off there. Comprende? I believe that's it. It's just way too tight of a gash in there. I don't know if you can see. It's pretty tight. So when you're changing the serpentine belt on a 3.1 V6, this is a Pontiac. There's the mount. As you can see, I took it off already. The motor mount with the clamp and the bracket, the top bracket. And there's the 2-hole bracket, and there's the back hole bracket, which should be one screw missing. There's the mount. That's the clamp that I took off the top. And that's the bracket with the rubber attached to it. You can see the missing hole on it. Now I want to demonstrate how difficult it is to put a serpentine belt on this vehicle. You actually have to take that back bracket off there. You can see the bolt way down below. That's the third bolt. I've already taken, you can see that screw there. Where is it? There's a bolt that came out of that hole there, and then you'll see a screw, which is right there, that I took a wing nut off, or a nut, if you will. Once I disassemble this bracket, which you can see it's a little flapping, then I should be able to snake the serpentine belt in underneath this crevasse, which has caused a nightmare for this belt. Anyone who's ever had one of these vehicles should know how difficult it is to change a serpentine belt on this vehicle. Now there is a tiny little space right there that a lot of people probably try to jam the belt in between there. As you know, you don't want to do that on this vehicle, because if you damage the belt after you put it on, it'll fall off, and then you got to start this whole nonsense process all over again. I will, signing off, I'll be back to show you what it looks like to reassemble. So anyway, this is the bracket I was talking about. It goes down here, and it rests in there, and it was preventing me from getting the belt from that pulley to underneath, not that pulley, but the one on that diagram, the pulley, the tensioner pulley, which is directly under it. See how the thing goes from, the belt goes from the alternator to the tensioner pulley directly underneath the power steering pulley. Well, this bracket is part of the motor mount assembly. It was preventing me from getting the belt in this crevasse. If you can see, I'll simply point it out to you so you know. If you can see this, that's where the bolt goes in. The belt has to go directly in that crevasse, and with that bolt in there, goes across, the belt goes from that pulley and it gets stuck on the bracket. So you need enough clearance to get underneath, and like the diagram says, on top of the tensioner pulley. Now if they ran the belt under and the tensioner pulley was designed a little differently, you'd have plenty of clearance, but not in this case, folks. Now, if you screwheads don't know how to put a serpentine belt on, you shouldn't even be attempting to do this job. So I got the belt on. It's wrapped around everything just like the diagram. Okay, your next step is to borrow your lamp from your son that has a baseball glove in it, because you've been working all day and now you can't see because it's dark out. And if you're not a meathead like I am, you'll see that instead of wasting 3 hours trying to get that bolt off, because you thought that was the adjustment for the tensioner pulley right there, you'll notice that if you simply just rent this tool from AutoZone, you don't have to put a ratchet on it. You just leave it like so. Simply slap this pig down here in this hole. Alright, insert it into this crevasse, as you know. Right in there. Follow the bar. Let's see if you can get a good shot. You see? You follow that bar in there. And you simply put it inside of this hole. Right? Right there, you can see it. You see that thing right there? Where the light is on, you can see the square barely. Now you can see it. That square, you put the bar inside that square, pull it up, and you'll get some slack for the belt to go around the alternator. Alright, screw heads, after you do that, what I told you to do the last time, you should have a belt that's installed properly. Make sure you check all the pulleys to make sure it's lined up properly. Now, you didn't have to take anything apart that's connected to the engine except for the bracket, so you shouldn't have to worry about anything being loose. Alright, and if any of you think this is easy, you ought to give it a try, and we'll all call you a screwhead. Okay, so the next thing you screwheads are going to do is put this clamp back on. It goes with that facing directly under that nut, that hole there. So it'll go like this. Alright, here's the deal. After you got that bracket in down there, those 3 bolts right there down the bottom, you simply snug them up real nice, not super tight because you're not going to be able to, because you can't really fit a wrench in there, but you can get them tight enough. After you do that, you slide this mount back in, and you're going to have those 2 13 millimeters. You tighten them up, and then if the motor hasn't shifted too much from jacking it up, you will have an easy alignment. 1, 2, 3, which is right here. Just putting the finishing touches on it. This is the last bolt. That hole there should be missing. It's for alignment purposes only. And then after you tighten this bolt, you want to use a 1/2-inch drive because you might snap a 3/8. It's not strong enough. Anyways, when you finish that, you simply put this bracket back on right here on the top. Okay. And then, okay, now I'll tell you how to do it after I finish that. That bracket goes right here in that slot. You take this bolt out here, slide it in that slot there, and then you put the last 2 bolts, which I keep right there, on those 2 rods. Welcome back, screwheads. Well, here's the deal. After I installed the new water pump that went right there, then I walked you screwheads through the serpentine belt installation. We've put the motor mounts back on, 1, 2, 3 screws like I told you, the 3 bolts, and then you've got these 3 nuts right here that are mounted on those bolts. So the job is complete. The belt is aligned properly on all 6 pulleys, and we have rented the tool. We're going to return it now, and when I return, I'll show you screwheads how this thing runs.